Hi, welcome to Lil Unfiltered. Today I want to talk about disconnection. Do you actually know your neighbors? Do you know their names? Do you talk to them? We've become so desensitized that we scroll past suffering and we hear chaos and tune it out. Like a car alarm goes off, right? And we roll our eyes. It's so annoying. A loud bang echoes, and we think, was that a gunshot? And then go right back to what we were doing. We hear a couple arguing next door and think, oh God, they're fighting again. A child may be screaming far too long, and we think, God, shut your kid up. We've stopped paying attention to the world around us, and that's dangerous. When I was growing up, everyone had land. We had acres between houses. And yet we knew all of our neighbors, 2-3 miles in every direction. We knew them by name. And we helped each other. If my mom needed a ride, our neighbor helped. If someone was sick, and that happened in my family, food showed up at the door daily. We didn't have much, but we had each other. Now, houses are stacked right next to each other, and we don't even know who lives next door. We share walls, but not lives. We hear noise, but not stories. We live in neighborhoods that are spiritually silent. When I lived alone in the US, I often thought, what if I got hurt and I couldn't reach my phone? Would anyone even notice that I was, not that I was missing? And that thought haunted me. It only changed when I started pet sitting, because then, of course, someone wouldn't notice if I didn't show up for work, right? But like so many people live like that now, though. Unseen, unheard, and unfelt. Traveling actually made me feel safer, because when I stay in a hotel or an Airbnb, someone is going to check on me if I don't respond. And that's not how it should be. I used to have a neighbor who noticed everything. And most people thought she was a busybody, she was nosy, a gossip, that type of person, right? But I loved her because when my husband and I were gone, she watched our house. I knew that if something looked off, she would know instantly. Her so-called intrusiveness, that was community care. And that's what's missing now. And I'm not saying being in everyone's business, but we are living in a time where disconnection could be deadly. People are isolated. They're losing their homes, their jobs, spouses, even hope. And some are going to go hungry. Some are slipping through the cracks and no one notices until it's too late. We need to pay attention again. We need to rebuild the human safety net that used to exist long before social media or next door apps. Real human connection. That's how communities survive and not collapse. Now, I'm an extroverted introvert, as I call myself. I can be social, kind, talkative, but only in short bursts, because I crave my cocoon and my peace and my quiet, my little safety net, and I protect that fiercely. But I also know I need some connection, so I reach out in ways that feel safe through creativity, design, YouTube, TikTok, writing, and going out in nature, and also joining excursions and meeting people. That's my bridge to the world. When I lived with a narcissist, I lost all that. I lost my voice, my curiosity, my passion, my creativity, my joy. He drained the color out of my life. I couldn't even read anymore, something I did voraciously growing up. I just devoured books, but I couldn't do it anymore. I was constantly interrupted, criticized, talked over, never talked with, just at. They don't want you to enjoy yourself. They want your world to revolve around them. And when I finally broke free, I realized peace and isolation aren't the same thing. Peace is healing. Isolation is a symptom, but both can teach you what matters most. We need to wake up, not just politically, but personally. Know your neighbors. Check on them. Notice things. Be that nosy person who actually cares. Because one day you might be the reason that someone makes it through. And someone may be the reason that you make it through.